Hello and welcome back to the Herefordshire Gardener channel. My name's Aaron. In this video today I'm going to be showing you some of my David Austin cuttings that I did in around about June 2023. I've got quite a few varieties, a lot of them are retired. I'm going to try and upload some pictures and some old videos from my phone that I took of them in the previous years, just so you can get a feel for what they're actually like as I go through and show you the progress so far to date. I'm going to be giving them a tidy prune today and also giving them a feed and a light mulch. And there's a fruit cage just here, which will be the site of the new Victorian style greenhouse. But my plan until that project is underway is to put some tarpaulin down on the ground in there, just so I've got a clean base to put my potted roses for now, and keep things like black spot and powdery mildew at bay. So I'll get on with the video now. I hope you enjoy. We're actually in the kitchen garden at the moment, or what will be the kitchen garden. We've just had a new shed and garage built in here. You'll have to excuse the wind, it is very windy today, start of February, but at least it's not raining. But this room, just to sort of give you a quick introduction, this will be absolutely full of roses eventually. There will be, you can see there were some old raised beds in here. They're actually going to be angled in this sort of plane, so going along the garden in future. The central aisle will be full of roses and the ones either side will be full of vegetables. That fence there, which borders the kitchen garden, I'm going to get some lovely arches to go over there, and I'll put a picture up of those, show you which ones I'm thinking of. Exactly the same fence is going to be replaced until we get up to about the middle of the garden. Then I'm going to have another 2 arches back to back there, which will create a bed running up this side of the fence. I'm going to put climbing roses all the way up there and shrub roses in the front. That fence will continue on. This area of trees is coming out to open that area up, because we have table and chairs through there. The fence will continue up here, and then it will go out slightly, and then it will join that hedge at the back there, and there'll be another arch up the top here. So all in all, there'll be 1 arch here, 1 arch in the middle somewhere, and 1 arch down here. Those 2 arches will be back to back, just to create a bed space on both sides of the fence. This is full sun on this side, so it comes all the way up over here. And then, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this old fruit cage, which has been home to a lot of roses that I've bought from David Austin or from online suppliers, some which have turned out to be true to their name, some sadly not. I'll be sieving through those this season to decide what I want to keep. These are all the roses that I've salvaged from the alpaca paddocks, which are going on in that direction all the way over in that part of the garden. There's some amazing roses there. So yeah, I just got some cheap pots off of Amazon, drilled some holes in, and they've just been popped in there. I'll do an update video on those another day. Obviously we've got the chickens here. This is a bit of a mess with all the rain that we've had, and this coop eventually is going to be turned around and it's getting resited with a lovely sleeper base put in here, picket fence around it. It's going to look beautiful, and as will the Victorian greenhouse, which is probably about the same size as the fruit cage. It's a pretty big building, but that'll be wonderful. It'll mean that I've got a space to work in all weather. I'm so excited to get that underway. So anyway, let's get on with the video. So all in all, these are all the cuttings that I've done. There are a few in the fruit cage, but I'm not going to mention those in this video. These are the main ones, all taken in around about May, June, possibly as late as August 2023. So I'm going to just walk you through. I've not pruned them, I've not tidied them. You'll see there's loads of weeds in the pots. There's black spot on the leaves from last year. Some of them are already starting to shoot out, as in new leaves are growing for this year, and some of them have still got blooms on them from last year. We have had such a mild winter in Herefordshire, UK. I don't think the roses have actually properly gone to sleep at all. So who is this? This is the first one that I did, and this is a blush Noisette. I'm going to be redoing my labels as well, because on a few of them it's faded that much in the sunlight, and this is with the Sharpie pen as well, so I didn't expect that to happen, but just can about make out what they are. So before I lose track of who they are, I will remark them. But you can see 17th of June 2023, that was literally the cutting, you can see it there. And out of that we've got new canes from underneath, 1 2 3 4 new ones, and then that one, and you can see she's already got a bit of black spot there. I'm going to be treating all these with Sulphur Rose as well, and Uncle Tom's Rose Tonic. They're going to get an absolute treat this year. So this is Blush Noisette. You can see that is, look at the thickness on that cane, absolutely wonderful. So all I'll be doing is tidying that up, tidying any weeds out of the pot, a little bit of feed on top, bit more compost just as a light mulch, because they're already quite full of these pots, and then it'll be a case of spraying it with the Uncle Tom's Tonic. I'll probably do a root drench on them first. Yeah, I'm going to try and upload some pictures of Blush Noisette, because we've got an amazing bush over the back of the house, which is just covered, and this is a repeat climbing rose, rambling rose. I can't remember which, whether it's Rambler or Climber. I would say Rambler, looking at the growth habit of it. It does get quite large, but amazing scent, and yeah, just a fabulous rose. So I had to get a cutting of that. I think I stuck about 3 or 4 of those, and this was the only one that took. So happy that I've got one. Who have we got here? There are about 88 cuttings here, by the way, and that's not a David Austin Blush Noisette. It's quite an old rose, but fabulous, and they sell it on their website, so they highly recommend it too. Here we've got Bathshebas, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, one of my all-time favorites from David Austin. These again, I think they were taken, just have a little look, Bathsheba May 23, so that's when these were taken, and you can see, so main cutting stem, grown all this new growth out of there, but we've got new shoots from underneath. I've got massive weeds in these. They need clearing, because I find if you leave things like this under your roses in pots or in the ground, they just cause, in my experience, a bit of dieback on the canes, because there's not a good airflow down there, and also they're stealing the nutrients. So I like to just clear them out. All these pots will be really tidy, but if you look, some of them done better than others, but they're still really good, considering that these were grown from cuttings. Nice thick canes on these. They're already starting to shoot out. It's insane. And I've kept them, I keep all of my old David Austin pots. I bought those black pots off of Amazon, and I bought a load of willow. If you've watched my other videos, when I made my willow hoops for the rose room, which is over in that direction, you can just about see some of the posts in there. Behind that tree you can certainly see the hedge line. I had a load spare, and they make great what do you call it, obelisks. Just bought this elastic band off of Amazon, stapled it together, and then it means that that's got tension, and I can just stick the sticks in there, tie them with some string or cable tie at the top, and got myself a ready-made obelisk that was cheap and cheerful. Just have a look at some of these other David Austin and Bathshebas. So, you know, there's some good caneage coming out of the bottom there. I'm quite happy. You can see that one at the back there is quite full too. You know, there's quite a lot. Dreaded black spot. The only way to sort of prevent this, or to limit it, is to defoliate all of these. I'm going to keep the new leaves though. I think I might have just got here in time, because they look quite healthy. Look at that beautiful red outer margin to those new leaves. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely wonderful. So this is another Bathsheba, and this rose, I mean, I've done some videos on it recently. It is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I love the fragrance, I love the colours, I love the size of the blooms. Just have a look at the last one. You can see, nice. That was the original cutting, and I went for about pencil thickness with my cuttings. and we loaded everywhere where you can see these. Just try and get it to focus. These buds. That's where new stalks are going to come out, new stems. It's going to be loaded. These are going to be absolutely covered. The key thing that I will say with these roses, when you do cuttings or you've got any roses in small pots, is to keep them well watered and well fed, because that is their environment. You can't get water or nutrients from anywhere else unless the roots go down through the pot. As I said, in the rose cage behind me, I'm going to be putting a tarpaulin down on the ground just to keep control of the weeds. I mean, if you look at it at the moment, I've got some old raised beds from the previous owner just to whack out with a sledgehammer. This is going anyways, this fruit cage. But look at all the weeds, and you can imagine all of the old rose leaves that are in there. I just want to level it out, put a tarpaulin down and put my roses in rows so I can get in there, I can water, I can feed, I can keep an eye on them. These are only temporary pots. Everything that you can see here, including these cutting pots, they're just temporary. You know, eventually I aim to have large pots on this patio that's going gravel, that's going around this shed, climbing up the shed. Obviously I've got climbing roses to go all the way along this bed up here, climbing up this fence and going over the arches, shrub roses in the front of those, beds down the middle with roses in. So they're going to be really treated to a lovely spot eventually, but for now I've just got to keep them where they are and look after them. Hence why I just want a clean space until the builders arrive and put the base in for the greenhouse. They'll be all right in there, and I don't anticipate that to be until about July, August this year. So I'll just clear that out this week. I'll show you what it looks like in another video if you're interested, and show you how I'm going to stage the roses. For now, I was thinking of maybe using, you know, the tree supports that you can buy, the supports that you whack them into the ground to tie your trees in. Maybe putting one at one end, one in the middle, another one there, maybe 4, and then getting some batten in just to run along. And then what I can do, you see, is I can stand these roses next to it and just tie this section into the batten, and then they're not going to move anywhere, blow over in the wind. So that's sometimes when we have storms, what has happened. Some of these smaller pots, these ones, blown over. It didn't cause any damage or anything, but it's, you know, I just like it to look tidy. So that is Bathsheba. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those, which I'm excited. Those pots at the back there are recently potted roses. I've got 4 crocus roses there from David Austin, which were in the woodland garden over just past where that big tree is. Not the best spot for them. The previous owner must have planted them, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and they've never done really well. So I managed to find them, dig them out, and they've still got their original tags on, which was handy because it helps me to, you can see that one there is crocus rose, and that's a beautiful rose. I have seen a few blooms on these at the bottom of the garden, but they never did fabulously well down there. So I'll incorporate them into this or the rose room at some point. That's my Earth Angel, which I got from Peter Beale's Roses last week. Cannot wait to see that one coming into bloom. It's interesting because I've got some Jeff Hamilton cuttings over here, and that's one of the parents of that rose. That was 4 pilgrims that I rescued from over in that corner. Again, you can see they were just, considering the age of these roses, there's practically nothing on them. They just were not doing very well down there, so I'm going to TLC them and hopefully we'll be okay. Now this train of roses that you can see here, this one is Crown Princess Margareta, and I have 3 of them just past those table and chairs in that bed there. Again, not the best spot. It gets quite a bit of afternoon shade because of all of this which is going. But I love that rose. It's retired from David Austin now, but it is absolutely incredible, colour wise, scent wise, growth habit, because it's a short climber. It's just wonderful. It really is. Probably up there with some of my favourites. But I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17 new Crown Princess Margaritas, which hopefully with Teasing Georgia, which is over here, all those are Teasing Georgia, also a retired variety. I'm going to try and plant these along this fence. You can just imagine the sea of yellows and oranges with the pink shrub roses in front. I think it's just going to smell and look incredible. And because the sun comes over this side, I imagine they'll all flower on this side as well, which will be such a spectacle to see. I cannot wait to show you that. So let's just have a quick look at these. Excuse me. Apologise if the wind is ruining this video. There's not what I can do about it today. At least it's not raining. So CPM Crown Princess Margareta, 17 for the 6, 23. So that's about, what's that, about 20 months since taking the cutting. And you can see the original cutting, I'll just get this camera to focus, is that one. And we got this lovely thick cane that came out last year. This probably was from the original cutting, these bits, as in the first bits that grew out, because they're only pindly. But if you look at this lovely one that's come out from underneath, and it goes all the way up here, still fat right to the top. It actually bloomed last year. A lot of these bloomed last year. So what I'll do is I'll just tidy it up, make sure that the stakes are okay. Ain't that lovely? Look at all these buds just waiting to come out. So many. They're already starting to express. I'm just going to quickly walk you through these. They're all taken on the same time. I think some of them might have been staggered by a few weeks. If you're interested, I do have videos on my YouTube channel. That's the Herefordshire Gardener channel. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. And I've got the videos of when I took the actual cuttings of these, how I did it, what techniques I used. Yeah, right from the beginning up to the point where I potted them on. This is the video, say 16 months after that, or whatever it is, 17, 18 months after. And I will do a video update of all of these roses in June when they're all in bloom, because I think that'll be wonderful to see. Can you imagine how many Crown Princess Margareta flowers there's going to be? It's going to be insane. But yeah, lovely strong canes, gorgeous colour. It's almost like a burgundy coloured stem. Real nice. And they've all shot up extra stems. I mean, if you look at this down here, the original cutting is that. I know that because that's the cut that I made off the bush. Not off the bush, sorry. When I prepared the cuttings, that's the length I cut it down, and I left this bud eye here. That obviously grew into this part of the bush and flowered. We've got hips on these. Absolutely beautiful. But if you look carefully, we've got another 3 canes that have come up from the base, and they're giving us lots of foliage on that shrub there. Lots of black spot, unfortunately, and that's not because this rose is prone to black spot. It's just because you can imagine all the roses, including the ones in those larger pots that I bought, were in that section last year. It was a wet year in 2024, and I apart from feed them, I couldn't really get in there that well. So I just made sure they were well watered, fed at intervals, just to keep them going, get some roots putting on in these pots. That was the main thing that I wanted. So the airflow won't have been the best, the setup wasn't the best, there'd have been old leaves on the floor. That's not how you would grow roses if you're growing them in the garden. They need good ventilation, and you know, you need to be picking up old leaves, defoliating in the spring so that you limit black spot, and using things like sulfur rose, which is toxic to black spot and powdery mildew, but safe for animals, insects and the plant. It's good for the plant, it prevents yellowing of the leaves. So just quickly spin you through this. So more of these Crown Princesses. Oh, look at that cane. So original cutting was, just try and get to focus, that's the original cutting there. We got this growing out, and then this big massive cane which has grown up here all the way up to the top. Got a little bit of birch that's fallen in there, And then we've got that wonderful cane at the back. I don't know how well that's showing. This one. Real nice fat cane just going up. And all I've done, you see, is just tied them in to this wigwam structure. I'm not going to knock these back too far this year. They're young roses. I'm just going to let them do their thing. If I need to cut them later in the season because they've gone too big for this, then I will do. But for now, I'm just going to go a bit easy on the old secateurs. They are young roses. Whenever you've got a new rose that's in its first 2 years of growing, just a tidy prune is all you're after, because there's a lot of energy stored in these stems, and they just do better if you give them a chance. There's some gorgeous fat stems though for these cuttings. Again, you can see original, I think that was the original cutting, sprouted out at the side. And then of course we've got these two lovely canes way out from underneath. And you know, you could say, oh, but they're suckers. You hear about this term suckers being discussed on David Austin Facebook groups and wherever else. And yes, if this was a rose purchased from David Austin, they might well be suckers. But because I've done these cuttings myself off of the Crown Princess Margareta rose material, it grew its own roots. So even if these were suckers from down below, they're off of this stem. So I know with 100% certainty that they are Crown Princess Margaretas. Unlike where you get a grafted rose, that's where a different rootstock is used, usually Dr. Huey or someone like that, because it's got a vigorous, fast growing rootstock. What the breeders tend to do is they remove carefully these bud eyes off of the rose. I'm not going to get this to focus. Yeah, so they carefully cut this section out and they stick that onto a stem of something like Dr. Huey. And so Dr. Huey provides the roots for the plant, and then whatever grows out of that provides the top growth of the bush. That's where the flowers are. But the issue with grafted roses, therefore, is sometimes you can get what we call suckers coming up from the soil, and because they've come from below where that, what we call would become a bud union or a graft union, because they've come from below that, they're coming out of the stem of the Dr. Huey, and so, you know, they're not going to be your choice rose. But with cuttings, you're guaranteed with 100% certainty that it's going to be whatever it is that you took the cutting from. But it's very windy today, meant to be better later on this week. So that's more Crown Princess. As I said, I'll put you some pictures on, some videos. Look at that hip, just one hip. I just left them last year. I could have taken the hips, the old flowers off, just so it didn't put energy into that and put more into roots, but they're still doing incredibly well. There's a tiny bit of dieback on that one, but it's not an issue because we've got another strong cane there. And more of them there, all the way down to the end. So that's Crown Princess Margareta, and I can't wait to get that onto that fence eventually once we get round to doing that. So many jobs to do. It's like the more time you spend in the garden, the more time you think up new plans. Who's this? This is Jeff Hamilton. So if you remember, I told you about my secret parfumer or earth angel, which I called as rose. The parent of that rose in the breeding program is Jeff Hamilton. This is an incredible rose from David Austin. I got a massive shrub over there by the drive, which I need to dig up. It's partially dug up. It's starting to sprout new buds, but I'm going to whack it right down like those ones over there, because it needs relocating basically, and I just can't relocate a bush that big. Whenever you're relocating your roses, it's always excuse me, a good idea to knock them back, because the roots are going to go into a little bit of shock because you've moved it, and if you leave all that top growth on, they're not going to be able to support it. So by taking it back, you're giving the roots a little bit of a break, if you think about it. And then the plant will, if you look after it well, keep it well fed and watered, send up new shoots. They're quite resilient roses. If you think about the crocus roses and the pilgrims that I removed this week from the forest garden right over there. They had rubbish light. It's quite wet down there. They didn't get fed. They were competing with other shrubs planted all around them, yet they've managed to survive year on year. I'll tell you what I did do last year when I recognised them. I gave them a handful, 2 or 3 handfuls of rose feed, because I knew that I was going to be digging them out this spring. And so I thought, well, I'll give them the best chance to recover, and it worked, because they were in a worse state than what you can see them now. There was also a Graham Thomas down there, which is another David Austin rose, beautiful yellow one, but sadly that one didn't pull through, so I bought another one. I think I bought it from Peter Beale's Roses. It's in one of those pots in there, and I've seen it in flower and it's the real deal, so I'm happy. So this one is Jeff Hamilton. As you can see, I think that was the original cutting, which looks to have died back, but it don't matter, because it sent up 3 new shoots, which are lovely, healthy. I just got to clear all this crap out of the pot, feed it, clean it, look after it, make sure that I'm happy with these structures, tie them up if they need tying up. Jeff Hamilton, when did I take that cutting? If I just have a quick peek. Yeah, 20th of June 23. So I've had a good amount of time to solidify. I mean, look at this. You can't even tell where the original... Oh no, that was the original cutting. Let me get into a better angle for you. So if you look really carefully, I'll move this crappy weed. You can see that was my original cut, which has healed over wonderfully well. That was the cutting material. Sent out this spike, this shoot, which has gone up there, all bloom, beautiful bloom last year. But look at that cane there, come out from the base, real strong cane. That's going to have some wonderful blooms on it this year, and another one on this side. So really pleased. This is what they look like when they come up. Can you see that? So you've got the main canes there. We've got another one that came up at the back. This is a bit early, if I'm being honest. It might not survive this one, or it might do, but that's what they come up like. So that'll be a new cane in itself. I can't wait to tidy these. I think it's starting to rain slightly. I may end up going in the shed just to tidy these one at a time. Sort that out in a moment. But you can see where I made the cut. You can see the original material. Nice big fat first bud at the base, and then new buds growing out from underneath. Same with that one. And they can grow quite far away. You'd think that they would grow out just real close, but they've come out and they've worked their way up. So some lovely canes on this. Look at that one. The original material was here. We've got this primary cane that came up, and then 2 secondaries that have come up in that direction, and this one's gone insane. There's like 3 or 4 in there. So that's Jeff Hamilton. How many have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of those. I think I did 10 cuttings in total from memory, and 8 of them I managed to survive and get to this stage. So that's 80% success on that one. That's fabulous. Look at the red on that. Goodness me. Like an apple. So these are shrub roses, and I'm going to dot them at the front of these borders with some of the other shrub roses in here. Don't forget, I'm going to have, with the arch there, I'm going to have a bed of roses. I don't know, I might have 2 thin ones either side, so it brings you down through this kitchen garden. I don't want my kitchen garden just full of vegetables. I want it to look pretty as well. And I think when we've got the patio and the table out here and the roses climbing up there, and you're sitting out looking down an aisle with an arch with tons of roses all the way down there, the greenhouse up there, the chickens tidied up in that corner, I think that's going to look incredible. I probably say the word incredible like 50 billion times, so I apologise if that's annoying. Where are we? Teasing Georgia. Fabulous rose, scent, colour, climber. Short climbing rows go to about 10-12 foot. This is going to form the backbone of the fence with the crown princesses. How many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, excuse me, 15 of these. So you can see, I mean, this is a vigorous rose. You can already tell compared to all the other roses that I've done cuttings of, just how insane this one's gone. And it's great. It's a retired variety from David Austin, but it's an incredible one. Yellow, soft yellow as well, just gorgeous. These were taken on the 20th of June 23, and it's Teasing Georgia. Yeah, I mean, that was the original cutting with Teasing Georgia, and you can see it's just, it just wants to climb. It just wants to get big. Nice, excuse me, open sort of centre on that. And what I'll do is I'll fan it out over the fence, you see. Just look at how many buds are on this one. It's just loaded. These are going to be full of flowers this year, provided I look after them. Absolutely covered. Just this one shrub will be smothered. I reckon they're probably going to be 50 blooms in the first flush at least on this. And they're gorgeous. Like I said, I'll upload the videos of Teasing Georgia and the pictures and just show you. And the pot sizes, it was just what I had. She's a bit thorny. Some of her canes can be thorny. It's really odd. Sometimes with some roses they throw up smoother canes, and sometimes they throw up quite thorny ones. But as you can see, we've got quite a lot of growth on that, and I'm only going to give them a light prune this year. Hopefully they don't swamp out these pots too much, but if they do, I can always cut them back then. Look at this one. Look at the thickness of these canes. They're pencil thickness already, shooting all the way up. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that one. More on this. Quite a lot down on that one. I can't wait to show you guys what these look like when they're in flower. They looked amazing last year and I just didn't have the time to film them. I was just so busy with work. But I will definitely do it this year and they'll look even better, so win-win. Lots and lots of canes. So healthy. This is the size that I would expect to buy from the garden centre if I was buying, and they wouldn't be this tall because the garden centre would have knocked them back. They wouldn't have these on for a start. But yeah, this is 20 months since striking the cutting, and these willow structures really have helped me just to guide the rose. Look at that thick cane just there, beautiful. All the way over, got an old bloom which needs to come off. They do need a real good clean out. Some of the pots are not too weedy, but some of them are. You can see all those old leaves at the bottom. So those are the Teasing Georgia. Really excited to get those on the fence when it's all installed. Get them into this lovely clay soil, which they're gonna love. I've done a clay mix in that, so I used some of our garden soil. We had some of it spare at the bottom, and I mixed it with some Jack's Black Magic compost, just to give the properties of the clay, which is the ability to hold the water although it drains well, so it means that they don't get stressed as much in the pots. There used to be apple trees here in this section before we started planting. Sorry about the wind. Look at the thorns on this though. She's got an amazing scent as Teasing Georgia, and a bit like Gertrude, what I tend to find with the David Austins is the majority that are thorny are the most fragrant varieties. Might not always be the case, but in my experience it is. So, you know, when I see a new rose that they release, if it's full of thorns, then I think, well, it must have some of that heritage in its breeding program, and so it's likely to have a good fragrance. So yeah, I mean, that stem goes past the wigwam. Just to give you an idea, this wigwam structure is about 4.5 foot high, So yeah, she's already reached that in 20 months from a cutting. Blows my mind. So yeah, that's the last of the Teasing Georgia. Oh gosh, where are we? So these ones, this is what used to be known as Mortimer Sackler, but I think it got renamed to Mary Delany because there were some issues with the previous name. You can Google it. I'm not going to go on about why they changed the name. Look at the nettles in that pot. You can't even tell where this is the issue with the weeds. I really am going to have to clear this out. I mean, you can see she's still alive and she's got some lovely canes, but if you imagine those nettles there and the whatever else is in here blown in on the wind, is going to starve that rose. It's not going to allow it to perform as good, say, as these ones. I stuck 2 cuttings in each of these pots and they all took, so I've got 8 Mary Delany. I'm sure it's Mary Delany, I'll double check, but it was called Mortimer Sackler. And I will upload some videos. This is a gorgeous rose. The blooms remind me of chandeliers. They actually turn upwards to the blooms. Even if the rose is hanging down, the blooms will actually turn up and then open, and so you get this sort of chandelier effect, you know, with the chandelier turning upwards and then the candles on the chandelier. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous pink, repeat bloomer, wonderful. I'm going to incorporate that. It's a climber, grow to about 12 foot. So again, I don't know, I might have it over here, I might have it on one of the arches, I could have it down the middle, I'm just not sure yet, but I've got the material there waiting. And I will say this, it's got beautiful purple stems. It really is a wonderful rose. Doesn't look like much in those buckets, and these ones I kind of neglected a bit more. You can see they don't have any of the willow wigwams attached to them. I didn't get around to them. I was that busy with all of these other ones and receiving new roses, I just didn't get the chance to sort them out. So I'll give them a bit of TLC this year and hopefully they'll thank me for it. This is Claire Austin. So if you've seen my other videos in my rose room, I've got 4 Claire Austins, massive shrub roses, not shrub roses, short climbers. I cut them to about 6-7 foot, but I'm gonna let them go higher this year because I've got some new willow hoops to go in there just to extend the support structure. But if you look here, we've got 2, 4, 6, and they've done amazing. I can't even tell you where the original cutting is there. It's dead. All this has grown out from it, and you can see, I don't know if we've got the date yet, 24th of the 6th, 23. These are only propagated for me, I'm not selling them. This one's obviously still on patent. Some of the retired varieties I could sell because they're fair game for anybody. I think the patents expire 20-25 years. Things like Teasing Georgia, Crown Princess. You know, if I wanted to, I could, although I'm going to see how many I've got left first of all from this garden project. I can always do cuttings later down the line, and clearly I know what I'm doing. You know, they're surviving really well. I mean, you'd buy a Claire Austin from the garden centre like this, probably wouldn't even have this much growth on it. And this is just less than 2 years down the line. They flowered last year and they looked amazing. But that's another 6. I love this rose. I want to incorporate it. I think, to be honest, I imagined some Bathshebas and Claire Austins along here. One of the things I do want to do in this room is incorporate a few new roses from David Austin that I don't have on the property yet. So it's all right having all of these, and I will find room. This is project 2. So rose room was project 1. Project 2 for roses is this one, and project 3, we've got a garden around the back of the house. It wraps all the way around and a courtyard in between. That's going to be the 3rd space for roses, so it'll sort of all lead into itself. We took out a lot of hedges in this part of the garden. You can still see we've got remnants of where they were dug out. That's all getting levelled and regrassed, but we've put a lot of wonderful trees in that section now and just opened that garden up because it needed it. I've gone on a bit of a tangent. So Claire Austin, 6 of those, 8 of the Mary Delaney's, and then here I think this is Brother Cadfael. This is an amazing rose from David Austin. I did the cuttings 20 for the 6, 23. Lovely, lovely rose. It has these classic sort of burgundy green stems, and the foliage when it comes out is quite a nice colour too. But yeah, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've got beautiful, large, scented peony style flowers. It's a retired variety, sadly, but I can't wait to get these in the beds. This is a shrub rose, although it will grow to about 5 foot. I'm so glad that I've got 5. I've got the main one in a pot growing. That's the main shrub rose that I got these cuttings from. I had to lift that last year, and it's actually in one of those yellow pots up there. So in total I've got 6. And I'm definitely going to be using these because they're so pretty. But as you can see, lots of growth, lots of new buds. This one's going to be loaded. I'm going to show you it later on this year. But that's brother Cadfael. Over here we've got a rose called Rambling Rosie. So this is a repeat rambler. Gorgeous clusters of red blooms. It doesn't really have much of a fragrance, but the red on it is stunning, and it is such a pretty shrub. Seems to just flower non-stop all the way through the season. I'll show you the bush that I got these off just to give you an idea of how big she can get. But my plan is, when we do the house extension, I want some really nice big barrels to put each of these in, and I'm just going to dot them about in the courtyard just so you get that sort of almost topiary effect from them. I'll grow them up in better proper obelisks. I'll get some lovely metal ones, but yeah, I can imagine they will look beautiful. But I think I put 2 in each pot. That one, only 1 survived, but there's 2 in that one, 2 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there. So technically I've got 9 if I wanted to divide them. I'm not going to. I'll leave them so that they're full of shrubs, and they get these beautiful hips as well. There's 1 left on here I've just noticed, so I'll show you it. But gorgeous orange hips, so good winter interest and great food for the birds. Where did I get these from? You see that? That's Rambling Rosie, and that's the sort of growth that you tend to get. If I just quickly take you over to and show you over here, that's coming out. I'll be keeping it, but I'm knocking it right back. I've never pruned it since we've been here, apart from to take cuttings. But look at the state of that. I mean, dear God. She sends out these rogue canes. They just come out massive, and obviously you could tie them into a structure. Look at the size of this. She would be lovely climbing up a wall if you were interested. And honestly, she will not disappoint. She's covered in blooms. And I think the hips are just so pretty. This is give you an idea of, this is how big the sprays are. This, in fact, if you look, that is just 1 spray, and she's covered in them. So she gets loads. I'm going to do some more cuttings of this because I love this rose. So when I come to cutting this back this year, down to the base, getting to the thick stuff, digging it up, putting that on, I'm going to do a load of cuttings of this for around the garden. As I said, I quite like the idea of having these big formal sort of whiskey barrel type pots, really big. They always say go 40 centimeters plus for your diameter of your pots when you're putting roses in, but these will be colossal, and there'll probably 1 or 2 Rambling Roses in each. And it'll just give like a continuous red thread throughout the garden, so that'll be exciting. We're nearly at the end of this rose tour of the cuttings. So we did Rambling Rosie. This one is, oh, this is an amazing rose. So we had this on the driveway. This is Rosa Louise Odier. Not a David Austin rose, an old rose is this one, but she's a repeat bloomer, and her blooms, I'll try and find some pictures, are incredible. She ages and she's got this sort of antique pink that she takes on, heavily petaled, heavily cupped, gorgeous. Gertrude Jekyll scent, absolutely wonderful. There's some crossing canes there, so what I'll do is I'll tie that one into here just to open it up a bit. But they've done so well. Absolutely perfect. So 3 of those and the original shrub, so that's 4. Then this one here, these are the chickens. That's Betty, that's Babs, and that's Ethel, who's growing her tail back. She's been molting. This looks an absolute mess. The chickens have cleared all the grass that was in there. There were a few trees in there that we've had taken out, but this is all going to be pretty. It's going to be, the coop's going to be back there. It's going to have a sleeper base around it. It's going to be filled in with wood bark, and I'm actually thinking of putting a row down here on the picket fence of Kew Gardens rose from David Austin, because I think that'll look just so pretty just up to the top of the picket fence. But I'll see. I'll make that decision a little bit later down the line. This one here is Winchester Cathedral. Again, look at that. You can barely work that out, but I know my writing. So these need redoing, and that was taken on the 9th of the 8th, 23. This is a lovely rose. I think it's Winchester Cathedral from memory. It's a spot, I think possibly of, I don't know if it's a spot of Mary Delany or Mary Rose. It's a spot of something. And you can see when the blooms come out, it's a beautiful white rose, but you get occasionally the little fleck of pink, which is a little bit telling of its history. But this is a retired variety as well, but beautiful. We've got some canes. They're not as big as the other ones, but that's viable tissue, and it will get stronger with time. And I've got 2 of those, plus the original, which is just behind that fence in a bed, again swamped by a load of these yellow flowers, which I absolutely hate. I can't wait to take those out and rescue that rose. So hopefully I'll have 3 in total. Who is this? Oh, this one is, I've labelled it as a white pink rose by the lounge door, which is just over through there. We've got some patio doors. Whatever it is, it's really, really strong. I did do a post on Facebook, and I'll dig some pictures out, because I asked people when I first moved into this house just over 2 years ago what this was. I actually think it's the I think, is it Macmillan rose, because it just looks like it. It's got a beautiful lemon fragrance, but as you can see, this cutting is super, super healthy. I think that was the original cutting. Everything else has grown out. We've got a little shoot there. So I'll give all that a tidy and a feed today. This one is unmistakable. You just look at the thorns already. This is Gertrude. And we've got about 6 of these in the property that I'm going to be relocating. She's already shooting. I did this for fun. I just thought I'm going to stick one in and just see what happens. When did I do Gertrude? Gertrude, Jekyll, oh no, this is a shrub rose. I thought it was a climber. I'm actually happy it's a shrub rose, because I'll get a nice spot for this. 24th of June 23. I'm from the original cane there. If you can see my hand just there, we got that lovely cane coming up, and then this big beast of a cane that's come up all the way up here, all the way up to the top. Black spot on the leaves, which needs to come off. These are last year's leaves. So that's one Gertrude, but like I said, I've got about 6 or 7 of them in the rest of the garden that are getting relocated. This here is a wonderful, wonderful rose. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, but I've already used 6 in my rose room around my new rose cage, which arrived last year. This is Heritage from David Austin. Honestly, if you haven't got Heritage, it is a retired variety, but if you can get your hands on it, this is hands down probably up there with my top 5 roses from David Austin. The blooms, the scent, first of all, is incredible. It's got a similar appearance to Septidile, only the petals are more open between each other, so it allows the light to get in, and they literally glow in the sunlight, and just in the normal light they almost iridesce. They just glow. They look insanely beautiful. So I'm really pleased excuse me, that these have taken wonderfully well. I think these were done on the 22nd of June 23, so I did quite a lot of cutting that year, but I only had a small tub, because obviously all of these were just single sticks. I think I did all of my Teasing Georgia, Brother Cadfael and Heritage all in one bucket. So it didn't take up much space, and as you can see, we've got loads, absolutely loads. And these are shrub roses, so I've put them around the rose cage, 2 to each face, and obviously the one face is open for you to get into it. That's in the rose room over there. And the idea is that these will grow up to the height of where the backrest is in the rose room. And in between each of these, I think I've got Wollerton Old Hall and Strawberry Hill climbers to go up the posts of the rose cage. And there's 2 Wollerton Old Halls, 2 Strawberry Hills, very scented, beautiful. I think will look incredible with this, and with the scent from these as well. My God, sitting in that rose cage will be a delight for the senses, not just the eyes, but the nose as well. So that's Heritage. And then here, I think finally, we're onto it. This is 2 Golden Celebrations by David Austin Roses. This is a wonderful rose. It's still available in the garden centre. I would say go and get one if you haven't already got it. As long as you give Golden Celebration something to climb up, so an obelisk, or tie it into a fence, it will be fine. The main issue with it is the blooms are that big and the stems don't tend to be super fat, although we've got some nice ones coming up on this. You know, they flop and the blooms can then nod and look at the floor instead. But you know, if you tie them into these structures, you can get the blooms just looking right at you, and they're incredible. I love the flicks of red in the tightly scrolled buds. See, we've got an old bud there from last year, which will be coming off when I prune. But they've got these like flame stripes up them, and then it opens into this magnificent orangey yellow apricot bloom with a scent that just blows your head off. It's fruity tea, it's like passion fruit, pineapple. It's incredible. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. I grow this rose just for its fragrance alone, but it is a stunning bloom. So I'm planning to grow this as a climber, either in a pot or against a fence. I'm not too sure yet exactly where I'm going to put these. I'm just looking now. I think that completes the tour of these roses. So just to give you a sort of back view, there's 88 of them that we've just gone through. I'm going to tidy those up this afternoon, feed them, clean them up, and then probably this week I'm going to work my way through some of these roses. Some of them I bought from David Austin, some of the new ones like Emma Bridgewater, for example. I think I've got Grace in there, William and Catherine. And I bought a load of roses off of Facebook from a lady called Tanya's Garden or something like that. Some of you will be aware. I don't think she's operating anymore. There were some issues, but she was selling a lot of retired varieties, so I managed to get like Spirit of Freedom. I did have a pun at seeing if I could get some of the wedding roses. Sadly, the majority of them were not David Austin wedding roses, which was really annoying. But I guess she's reliant on a supplier at the time. Obviously they come as bare root, so you don't know what you're getting. You're just waiting for them in anticipation to bloom, and I waited, and honestly so excited. I managed to get Constance and the Tess wedding rose. Those two I can confirm I've got, but I ordered like Kira, Beatrice, Juliet, which I gutted. I really wanted Juliet wedding rose because it's stunning. They all make excellent cut flowers as well, but sadly it wasn't meant to be. But I've got to sorry about this cough today. I think that wind's just catching the back of my throat. I need to go through all of these, tidy them all up, feed them, etc. And I think this week when my tarpaulin arrives, I'll just smash all these beds out, level it all out for rake, get as much of the weeds out as I can, lay the tarpaulin, peg it down, and then I'll get my wooden structures in that I mentioned at the start of the video with my battens, just mainly for these rose cuttings because these are smaller pots, they'll blow over easy. I just want to tie them in very loosely just to hold them in place. And I think these bigger roses, because I'm not using these beds, I'm going to take out the bits that are in here, That rose there, I think, is Constant Spry, one of David Austin's first ever roses. It only flowers once, very thorny, pink, beautiful blooms. It's definitely not going to stay there. I'll be digging that up. I don't know where I'm going to put that one yet. I haven't decided, but because it only flowers once, it probably will be somewhere that for the rest of the year I'm not that fussed about looking at it. So probably a pot, because then I can move it, you see. But it gets massive. It literally grows up to there. So previous owner put loads of canes in. It looked awful. No disrespect to them, but she obviously did what she had to do. So what I'm going to do is just maybe get some more tarp and just cover this area, grass and all. I can reseed it later. And then these larger roses I'll dot around in this space, just so we've got better air circulation. We've got a water point just there, so I can water these absolutely fine. And as I said, we get sun around here. I'll probably do the same here in this bed. It's just about having the space, that's all, for them. I know I want these roses. I know eventually when I've done this garden, this side, the kitchen garden, I've got no more room really for roses in the rose room. I think there's 60 in that room, all David Austin bar 2. So, you know, once I've got this fence installed and the arches, that'll help me get some of them in, and these beds in the middle, plus the pots around all of these structures, the greenhouse, etc. But I think a lot of them are going to end up going in these beds around the house, and in the courtyard. So I need to stop buying roses, although as I said earlier, there are a few that I've got my eye on. I don't think I'm going to buy any more just yet. I think I've got enough to be getting on with here, aren't I? I'll do another video on that if you're interested. This gives you proof that if you've got old roses that have been in the ground for a long time, they will take well to being cut right back. As you can see, this was the Mortimer Sackler or the Mary Delany roses, and they were on my old pergola structure in the middle of the garden, which is now gone, and they were beautiful. They were massive, and you'd think, my God, if you cut them back to that level, would they die? But you look after them, you feed them well. They've got mycorrhizal fungi. All of these pots have got that in, which helps the root system, and they're doing just great. A lot of them have actually shot out already. We've got loads of little nipples, bud eyes all over them, so that's exciting. Look at that, I've just spotted that Constance wedding rose has actually got a bloom just there. That must have been from last year. Obviously it's not going to flower, not this year anyway. So yeah, that's it, that's a wrap. Under an hour, quite long. I will do an update video, a part 2, part 3, I don't know where we are with this at the minute, but I will do an update video of these cuttings in June this year when they're all in bloom. We'll probably be in this fruit cage with the tarpaulin on the floor, but I want to show you what they look like. Thanks again for watching. If you've got any questions, suggestions, leave them in the comment section. Remember, as I said at the start, like and subscribe to the channel. It does help. It encourages me to produce more videos. It gives us an opportunity to ask each other questions, share ideas. So yeah, it'd be much appreciated. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye bye.